taller than me. We're live. I think.
And we're live.
Hi, everyone. I am Tammy with Expat Launcher.
And I am Yannis, your expat consultant, tuning in. I see there are a few people already online. And yeah, we hope that more will be joining us.
Sure. And if you have questions, comments, you can type them in the box, and then we'll answer them for you now. Okay, let's get started, I guess. Oh, I should say, I didn't say hi, Dad. I always forget right when we start to say hi, just in case I know he's going to watch. So we hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, we're just going to start in to jump to some questions that we've been emailed since the last call. And then if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat box.
And yeah, we do weekly uploads once a week. We do these Q&As once a month. So please, if you're interested in that type of content, subscribe, like, and let us know what type of content you would be interested in. And then we'll work on that, add it to the agenda.
Add it to the list.
Our first topic, we should start with, obviously, right now, Corona. What is the newest? What are the updates?
It's really no surprise. We always start with Corona. I cannot wait until we stop with Corona stuff.
True.
But updates. There really are a lot of things in Germany that are maybe not a lot, but restrictions are still pretty tight. Lockdown is still in effect. Travel restrictions still the same. So I think what's interesting is that Germany, but we're slightly behind on the vaccination rollout.
Yes.
But there has been talk that they want to kind of stop the priority groups by June, I think it is, latest June, so that everyone can now apply to get the vaccination if they want it, which I'm hoping that will kind of speed things along for us to catch up with the rest of the world. I think another good thing about that is that there is talk in regards to people that are vaccinated now and people that have had Corona. Are things going to be eased for them regards to, things being closed or not? So I know there's a Mako, do I say her name? I always say her name wrong. Mako, there are talks that that could cause a lot of social debate, but which we're not getting into. We'll link some useful resources below, but that could help, I think, a lot of, things easing for us, hopefully. But long story short, no changes.
Really not. Actually, I know that a lot of parts of the world, like the US, are more or less back to normal. In Germany, that's not the case. There's still more or less strict lockdown. Some states are a little bit more lenient, but when it comes to entry, still the same. And actually, when you look at the numbers, this is right now the worst part of the pandemic in terms of daily infections.
Well, we're in the third wave, right? Is what they're calling it now. So third wave. And it's really complicated if you look up the incident rate versus infection rate and how over a period of time. And now there's this emergency brake regulation that's just in effect, is just so complicated in Germany. But it's almost like a day by day, let's look at infection rates, incident rates to see what restrictions are going to ease or if we need to tighten restrictions. So it is very different in Germany than a lot of other countries around the world. And I think that's important to mention, that what's happening maybe in your home country, if you're from maybe say the US, where vaccinations are rolling out pretty smoothly, I guess. We're just different in Germany right now. So I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. If you're in Germany, you can get tested every 8 days for free. So take advantage of that. But other than that, restrictions are in full effect.
Yeah. And I think we're super low. I think at shots or getting the vaccination, like 22% or something. So it's really low for Germany, and that's first dose.
Yeah.
Second dose, I think, is like lower than 10% of people in Germany that have vaccination. So we're hoping. I know that there's a question in here in regards to tourism and the vaccination, so we'll get to that. But I know that, yeah, what can you say? I know that things with tourism, Germany as a whole has said that they don't even want to comment on it right now with tourism, because there's a lot of stuff that has to be organized in Germany first before they can consider letting tourists in. But summer's around the corner, so who knows?
To all the new people that came in,
thank you for
welcome.
joining.
Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, type them in the live chat, and if not, then consider subscribing, because we upload a new video every week.
And of course, if you have questions or want free consultation call, then you can go to our website and sign up for one of those in the next few weeks. Okay, next question. So I'll ask you a question. What's next question that came in? Next few are pretty much Corona related. Are the travel restrictions the same?
Yes, it hasn't changed. Still only travel deemed necessary is allowed to enter Germany. We see people get in even when they're not technically necessary. So necessary would be, for instance, important family visits, if you have a wedding or funeral to attend, or you have a spouse or a long-time partner living in Germany.
Certain work employment.
Certain work employments. Freelancers, unfortunately not.
Yeah.
So that hasn't changed much, and we don't know when it will.
Yeah, that's the downside.
I stopped making predictions because I did predictions before and I was wrong.
You were optimistic.
I was too
People are telling me that I'm not optimistic. I just have to be kind of realistic, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, when did travel restrictions begin? I guess it's more about EU.
Yeah.
Right. So for travel restrictions for US citizens coming in, it started a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Which is unreal. But yeah, I think then that still is going to be something that's continued throughout the year and will be for a little bit longer.
And what you need to know is, if you can come because one, you just want to risk it, like some people do, feel free to try. I'm not telling you that it doesn't work, because there are people that are going in even though they're non-essential, but we just can't guarantee it. And just if you are willing to risk that type of money for a flight back, then by all means, you're free to try. Once you're in Germany, you'll be okay. You have to go in quarantine for 5 days. Then if you have a negative test, you can just go on with your life. But we just can't guarantee that you will be able to enter if you're not considered an essential worker. And also, obviously, you need a negative test before you jump on the plane. But I think by now that's pretty much the standard.
That was the next question. Do you need a test? Yes, you do need a test before coming. But like Jonas says, I mean, if you are brave enough to try to come in, we don't necessarily recommend it, but I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to customs with anything. But we have seen people come in that aren't necessarily on the list of who should enter with it. Okay, if you have questions for those that are joining us or those that are still watching, please type them in the comment box if you can, and we'll answer them for you now while you have us. Next question that has come in over since our last call. This was a good one. So, will Germany allow US citizens that have been vaccinated to come as a tourist?
Yeah, there was a statement made by Ms. von der Leyen, who represents Germany in the EU. And she made a positive comment, and then in the media, a lot of media outlets reported that the EU is planning to allow Americans as tourists in. That is not correct. She made a statement where she basically complimented the US on their progress in the vaccinations and saying that this could be a good way forward, and it's something to consider in the future. So you can take it as a good sign that they are at least thinking about opening it up for American tourists if they're vaccinated, but right now nothing is decided.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, obviously I don't know why she said it, but I think it was because she also stated that the type of vaccines that are being used are also approved in the EU.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that good really point. Helps that because the US is using vaccines that are approved in the EU, that hopefully that will help kind of not expedite, but speed things along, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's the biotech, the Johnson & Johnson, and the
Moderna, I think it is, or another one.
Dun, dun, dun. Don't ask me. AstraZeneca, I think, also. So basically, all the major vaccines are approved both in the US and Germany. So you will be at some point in the future that hopefully will be a benefit if you're already vaccinated.
And honestly, I mean, I thought at first that that's going to take a while, for people that are vaccinated to have this, immune passport. But I think that, I mean, I know France is in the works with looking at to let people that are vaccinated in. So I think it's going to be sooner than we think, which is a good thing. Right. And it could be very well that everyone needs to be vaccinated for traveling. So crazy. Okay, enough about Corona. Do we have another Corona test or Corona question?
I do a Corona conform coughing.
As you cough online, that's great. We do have tests in the office, so we can test you. Okay, switching gears a little bit. So if the person can come to Germany, what is the first thing they should be doing?
That pretty much hasn't changed. It's still what we would recommend all the time. Rest up, take a few. Well, first you have to quarantine, actually. So that's maybe a little bit different. So in Germany right now, there's a 2-test strategy, real short, because I think we've spoken enough about Corona. You have to get tested to get on the airplane and to enter Germany. And then you have a 10-day quarantine. But if you, after 5 days, can prove a negative test, then your quarantine is cut short after 5 days. But 5 days of quarantine is the minimum.
That's a little bit of time to rest.
So you're probably then at that point sick of just staying in your place and you want to go out and do something. And use it. Explore the city, walk around as much as possible right now.
I mean, things are close to restaurants, stuff like that are closed. So I guess it's a good time if you can get in to rest up because there's not so much you can do.
Yeah.
Right. Would you say look for housing too, right? Look for housing jobs. Am I jumping into your question?
Absolutely. That's absolutely what
Is that what you were thinking?
That's what I was thinking.
So not jumping in, he was taking over the question, but I guess I will. But look for housing, jobs. If you don't have that lined up, then that would be a good place to start.
Yeah. And once you have a place that can be registered, that's the most important thing, then you can formally start the process. But no rush. If you're in Germany, you typically have 90 days to file for your residence permit. So take the time. Get climatized, do fun things, weather's getting better, walk around, explore the city. It is getting better. Wow, she's from California. She doesn't think the weather is good. But.
It's not bad. We're not wearing winter jackets anymore, so that's good. I guess that's a start. Okay, so if you do have comments for those just joining, please leave them, or questions, please leave them in the chat box and we'll answer them. Otherwise, we're going to continue through the questions that have come in and go from there. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. When should I look for housing and jobs?
Typically 30 to 45 days. That's the rule of thumb that we give people before you're coming to Germany. If you're it depends a little bit. If you looking for a job as an employee, then that takes more time to set up. Then you should do that several months in advance, maybe even a year in advance. But as a freelancer, no more than 30 days. No one wants to bring you on that far in advance. So it's just wasted time.
Yeah. And especially for freelance teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, I know through Speakeasy that I am inundated with applications that maybe someone's coming in a year from now. And it's so tough to plan with language schools that we don't even know what we're doing in 30 days right now with Corona restrictions. So I would just be mindful of that as well.
Next question is, can I register temporary housing?
Yes. So most housing companies that offer temporary, short-term or long-term temporary housing, meaning kind of full kit and caboodle, bring your suitcase, move in ready, internet's already set up, everything's kind of done for you. Yes, most of them do offer an apartment or a flat that you can register. However, check with them first.
Yeah.
I highly recommend, regardless of where you're finding housing, check with the landlord or the renter first to make sure that you can register your address. If you sign a lease that's 3-6 months and you can't register it, that's an issue because you can't do anything before you have your address registered. You can't apply for your permit. You're not supposed to have, set up bank accounts, all these certain things. There's ways around that, but there's a lot of things that will start once you can register.
Yeah, just remember that you legally don't exist in the eyes of Germany if you're not registered.
Yeah. Good question. Okay.
Can I work while I wait for my residence permit?
Want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Short or long form. So it depends. If you are from a country that needs an entry visa that you're applying for, you get your entry visa and you come in and it says you can work, you can start working. At that point, you have a certain amount of time that you need to convert that to a residence permit. If you are from, and now it's 8 friendly nations, I guess, with the UK included. If you are from, US, Australia, New Zealand,
Japan,
Canada,
South Korea,
you can enter Germany pre and post Corona. You can enter Germany, have 90 days to apply and get everything set up. You cannot work though. Once you have your application submitted, you cannot work until you have your residence permit. That's very, very important to know. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay. How much money should you have saved before you come over to Germany? It is about 5,000 euros. That's a good rule of thumb. Obviously, more is better.
Yeah, you're gonna say the higher you can. Obviously, the more money you can save, the better. Especially during these times. I hate saying that, but because things are slower.
Yeah.
But we always say at least have an equivalent to 5,000 euros to show the foreigner's office. Keep in mind that you're going to have to pay deposits and get things set up. So a lot of not a lot, but some of your savings will go towards those initial startup costs. But equivalent to 5,000 euros. Yes, if you're a first-time applicant, you can show your home country's bank account. That's fine. But equivalent to 5,000. Anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 euros is still an okay amount to show. But anything less than that is you need to start saving a little bit more now.
Under 3,000 really will be an issue. You will not be able to set up an apartment because you don't have enough money for the deposit. You will just be scrounging, and then that's just not a good situation.
Yeah. And then if you're using that 90-day period that you have to get set up, you're going to be using your savings to get settled. So when you go to apply for your residence permit, it would be surprising how much your bank account kind of dwindles, over those few months. So if you have 5,000 that you can show the foreigner's office, that's a safe number. Now, follow up to that question is we always get, well, why do they need bank accounts if they have work contracts? You need to show that you have enough to sustain yourself while the process is being worked on. So if you come in and show zero in a bank account, they're processing your application. That some cities take 6 months, sometimes longer. You can't work during that time. So you need to rely on that savings. And that's why it's important. The stronger case that you have for your contracts, the stronger the income projection will be. But at the end of the day, they're still going to want to see your bank account, what you currently have. All right. For those joining, questions can just go in the chat box if you have
anything. Corona questions, normal questions.
Everyone online, you just can't even hear us right now. Our mic's not on. But you can leave a question in the chat box.
Personal questions, just keep them coming.
Otherwise, you can always email us. We do have a contact page on our website that you can schedule an intro consultation call with us, and we can answer more one-on-one specific questions with you.
Yeah, our homepage is that's our email, sorry, expertlauncher.com, just expertlauncher.com.
Okay, next question that we have. Where are we? I have too many pages going. This is a great question. So has the process changed on this side of the world for local offices with processing applications?
Yeah, so there is a good thing about Corona, and that is that the offices have gotten much more digital. So you're now able to email things in where before everything had to be hand delivered or sent by post. And now, finally, some offices have partially arrived in the 21st century, and you can actually email things. So that's great.
That's good news, actually. It's surprising, but it's good news.
What would you say the downside is?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the way just PDFs with multiple pages and stuff. I think they're slowly getting around to it. However, because they're so backlogged, that it's taking longer to get a response.
Yeah.
Right. When you say that before,
when we slower, for sure.
Before, when we have partnerships with a handful of the visa offices where we have a direct contact, we email, our applications, and they're really quick at responding. And even those now are taking a little bit longer to respond because they are inundated with applications.
We have a question in the chat. So Nicole, thank you so much for being the first brave one. So work permit first after verifying residence. The freelance visas should be applied to after the work permit, or do they coincide?
Good question. So for US citizens, it's pre-post Corona, you don't need a visa at all. Visas are more for entry. So in your case, you would, as a US citizen, and you can come in, let's say post Corona, tourism is open again. You can come into Germany, tourist free, get a stamp in your passport, and then you have 90 days to line everything up. Then once you have everything, you would apply for your residence permit.
First, the verifying residence, I assume you mean address registration. Yeah. So that will be, the stamp in the passport, then get an apartment that you can register, and then you need to register that address.
Yeah. So verifying residency, it's a little bit different. The wording sounds a little bit different than we would think in other countries, but yes. So you would arrive, you would find your place to live, you would register your address. So you then are now in the system in Germany saying, this is where I'm living. And then after that point, you would apply for your residence permit. And the permit is what you need to stay and work or go to school, whatever it may be that you're deciding to do to live in Germany.
Yeah, the residence permit is the work permit. And then you mentioned freelance visa. So that's maybe a bit of a confusion, and that's everywhere over the internet. And then sometimes we use the words wrong.
Interchange.
But technically, what's correct is that a visa is what you get at a German embassy. That is American citizens, and then all of the 8 friendly nations don't need a visa. They come without a visa and just get an entry stamp that allows them to stay 90 days. If you come from a different country, for instance, we have a client coming from Russia. He can't just come to Germany. He first needs to go to the German embassy in his home country, get an official visa where they check all his requirements, and then he's allowed to enter. So very important. Visa you get at the embassy, and it allows you to enter. So the term freelance visa technically is not right. We use it a lot because everyone else uses it. So we are
just go with the flow.
We're guilty of the confusion. But then in contrast to that, there is the residence permit. And the residence permit is what you get at the foreigner's office in Germany. And the residence permit, depending on what reason you want to have it for, could be for freelance, it could be for employed work, or it could be for as a student, for instance.
Sure.
And yeah, that's the big difference. So what most, I assume you're American, so most important will be, huh? Why are you laughing?
Because I said it, that's why I was laughing.
Okay, we're totally assuming. Many of our clients are American.
Exactly, yeah.
So you don't have to worry about a visa in that sense. And then the residence permit you apply for at the foreigner's office will also allow you to work and stay in Germany. And thank you for the thumbs up. I don't know if that was because I was talking or just coincidentally, but thank you.
No, we like them, so that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's also a little tricky now because for the entry, there's a few selection of who can come in. And they say you need a visa to enter. Right now, for US citizens, you need a permission to enter. You need a reason to enter right now because of Corona. So I think that's where there's a confusion too, is you don't need a visa right now as a US citizen, you need a reason to enter. And then if you have one of those reasons, customs accepts it at the airport, you get a stamp, same as you would as a tourist, and then you start the process there. Yeah. A question, I need a work permit and resident permit. Yes, so it's the same.
Yeah,
a residence permit is the same as a work permit.
Yeah, in your case.
In your case.
Because if you come in as a freelancer, the residence permit includes the permit to work in Germany. If you would come as a student, then it would be a different thing. But in your case, as a freelancer, the residence permit is the same thing as the work permit.
Correct. The residence permit will allow you to stay in Germany and do whatever you've applied for. So if you're going to a language school, or if you're a student, or if you have an employment contract or a freelance or self-employed, that is tied to that residence permit. And that would be, the work part.
How long can I work on a residence permit? I'm looking to stay in Germany for a year at last. You get a minimum. So the shortest I've ever seen was 6 months, but that's really crazy. That's out of, I don't know how many 100 cases we had. One. Other than that, the minimum is 1 year that you will get. And depending on your city and how well prepared your application is, you can even get 2 years upfront or 3 years upfront. And you can also always renew it. But just the initial time you will get the residence permit means just until then you don't have to deal with the foreigner's office.
Yeah. So 1 to 3 years typically for freelancers is what you'll see. So in Berlin, typically it's still 1 to 3 years. But for the most part, we're seeing, especially right now with Corona, I hate saying it, but we're seeing more 1 years in Berlin. Although I've processed a handful so far, and the past few months I've seen 3, 2, a few ones, 4 years. So it's crazy, but I would expect 1 year, and then hope for 2. But depends on how you prepare your application and the job contracts. There's a lot of factors to it, but
we should play a drinking game every time we say Corona. We have.
I don't drink. I'd be done. But if you're going to places like Berlin, bigger cities, you sometimes see it a little bit longer, but I would expect 1 year for most places. Good questions. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, another question. Awesome. Awesome. Visa permit. They're tricky. I still say visa sometimes for people, but Yeah. Okay. Another question for health insurance. Will I need...
That's my territory.
That's your territory. Will I need why do I need insurance in Germany if I have insurance from my home country?
Yeah, because it's not accepted. Even there. So one problem could be that your insurance doesn't even cover you in Germany. Some insurances, health insurances, do have local restrictions. Even if your insurance covers you in Germany, it still needs to be recognized. And there is the German Financial Authority called BaFin, and they have a list of insurance providers that are allowed to offer insurance services. Then, if your insurance is accepted in Germany, that's the first hurdle you need to get over, and then the second hurdle is it also needs to cover enough treatments according to the German minimum requirements. Germany is a country where health insurance is mandatory, and a certain level of health insurance is mandatory. So not every plan fulfills that, and there are requirements that need to be met. Like we were getting really in the nitty gritty then if we talk about what specific coverage you need to have. But yeah, just it's probably best just send us an email or schedule a health insurance consultation call for free, and then we'll see each other face to face, and I'll walk you through it.
And he can go over send quotes and look at your personal needs for health insurance, also compared to what are the legal requirements for your type of permit. That's really, really important that a lot of people don't think about. So I think it is good to set up a call to kind of go over those things. Health insurance is also something that you should look into and price kind of quote closer, right, to when you're coming, because quotes change. Or how far in advance would you say?
Not more than a month in advance, because quotes are not valid longer than that. So a month in advance. That's something you can do pretty flexible before.
That's good. Okay. Good.
To all the new people, thank you for joining. We won't get too old tonight. So if you have any questions right now while you have us, feel free to put them in the chat. The first brave person already came forward. So
we're not that scary, are we?
bring your
Maybe
question.
We are. I don't know. Just put your comments in the chat box. We have a few more minutes online, and then we will need to end the call, but we do host these monthly. So you can always email us as well. Do we apply for health insurance on our own, or can you help us? We will help you, or we can help you.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So if you're interested in that, then just email us info@expertlauncher.com. And we will help you with it. Absolutely.
What's really nice about that, and we're not just selling us, but Jonas is a licensed health insurance broker. So, and he specializes in expats. And I think that's what's really important, is that we do have an in-house person that can also help with health insurance. And because that's a big part of what you need in Germany to even apply for your permit. So he would be the guy to speak to go over kind of, what's needed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's do one more. If you guys have questions, please put them in the comments. Otherwise, we'll just answer some of the questions that have come in since our last call. And then we will, about 5 more minutes or something, just to see. Question that came in for someone else. I'm sorry, I'm thinking everyone can see these. I don't know if other people can see the questions or not.
I don't know.
I'm learning German, but I'm new to the whole breath. Yeah, I think that's actually one of the tips. We have at the end, we have a tip from expats. And that's one of the things is, while you have the downtime to learn German, save as much as you can, downsize as much as you can, and learn German as much as you can, because it does help. Once you're here, then you're just Germans everywhere, of course, but you have a little bit of culture shock maybe to start. But while you have the time, hopefully, most people, if you are in quarantine or lockdown, that you have a little bit of extra time to practice learning German. One question that we'll wrap up with is, can I apply for a freelance permit with one letter of intent? Short answer?
No. And long answer. So let's do the other way around. For employment, yes, obviously you only have one work contract with one employer. Freelance is different. Freelance, you need to verify, you need to prove that you are independent and not just the thank you. Not just the companies you work with they can't control you, not financially dependent of them. So you need to show that there are at least 2, better 3 companies you work with.
Yeah, really important. I think because you're not tied to, as a freelancer on your permit, you're not tied to specific jobs, you're tied to a title.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to work multiple jobs as a freelance English teacher or whatever type of freelance work you're doing with multiple companies, multiple schools, clients, all of those things. You have to be able to divide your time. So you're not relying on one source of income. Huge problem when it comes to renewal. So if you're only here a year, not planning to renew, you should still be, for taxes and all of those reasons, you should split up your time. But really important come renewal to make sure that you are working with multiple clients. Okay, let's finish the tips, I think, and then we will let you guys go. Tips from expats that we just said was learning German, saving, downsizing, understanding that local offices are extremely backlogged. I think that's really important. Like, if you can get into Germany, know that there's going to be some downtime with making appointments, finding housing, lining up work, whatever it may be. There's going to be some extra hurdles involved because of Corona. And I think that was it. That was all my tips that they came in. Good. Okay. So I think that's good, huh?
Yeah. Thank you all.
We could go all day. There's so many questions, but we could go all day. So
thank you all for joining. Thank you for your participation. Please remember to leave a thumbs up. Thank you for that. And to subscribe. Thank you guys.
Thank you so
like
much.
we couldn't do it without you. Really,
Yeah,
that would be stupid. We could just sit the 2 of us.
We're not entertaining.
No, but we need your questions to really do that. And
your questions really help us because it's questions that help other expats to understand the process. So feel free, if it's not here, you can email us. We can always answer from there, and then we can also share on our next call. Next call in May is May 26th. So mark your calendar, save the date. We try to do this. We have clients all over the world, so we try to do it at a time where it's not too early, not too late for some people. But of course, they're on YouTube. You can watch them anytime. So, but mark the calendar, May 26th, subscribe, and
hit the little bell.
Is there a bell? Oh, reminder. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a new video coming up every week and Q&As every month. So we look forward to hearing from you. Obviously, you can contact us. Our homepage is expertlauncher.com through the contact page. Or email us at info@expertlauncher. Last question came in. Can it be multiple branches, locations of the same company? Yes and no.
Depends. Yeah, depends. I say what field you're in.
If they're independent from each other. So it depends really how they are legally organized. Some companies do have, let's say, a limited in Berlin and then a limited liability company in Munich. That's okay. That's no problem because they're legally considered different entities, even if the name is the same.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But if they're all the same and they have only one main office building, then that wouldn't be enough. Like, it's like your invoices need to reflect that there are multiple companies you're working with.
Yeah. Good question though, really. Yeah. yeah, if you guys have questions on that too with stuff, you can always email us.
Sure.
I'm gonna get a lot of emails.
That's good.
That's what we're here for, though. So thank you guys so much. We won't keep you. We really appreciate your time and feedback. All of that's super important. So take care, stay safe, and we'll see you guys
next
soon.
time. Take care,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.